The bathroom reeked of cheap air freshener and damp towels. It was the last place anyone wanted to be after school, especially not Jasmine Turner. But here she was, trapped. 4 boys blocked her way to the door, their eyes filled with malicious intent. Leading the group was Zachary Adams, the so-called king of the school, leaning casually against the sink. He flashed a smug smile as his lackeys, Ryan, Derek, and Ethan, stood behind him, grinning like wolves stalking their prey. "What do you think you're doing here, Jasmine?" Zachary sneered, taking a slow step forward. "This place isn't for people like you." Jasmine had heard these words before. Crestwood Academy was an elite private school in the affluent suburbs of New York, a place where legacy students, mostly rich and white, ruled the halls like royalty. Jasmine was one of the few students of color, a scholarship recipient with a 4.0 GPA. She had earned her place here through hard work, but to Zachary and his crew, she didn't belong. For the last few months, they had made sure she felt it. They knocked her books off her desk, bumped into her in the hallways, made cruel remarks when the teachers weren't watching, and ensured no one sat with her at lunch. Worst of all, the teachers pretended not to notice. But today, it had gone too far. Jasmine had stayed late in the library working on a project. She didn't expect to be followed, and certainly didn't expect to be trapped in the bathroom. Zachary took a step forward, blocking the only exit. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" Ryan taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. Jasmine clenched her fists. She wasn't scared. She was furious. Maybe it was time to make them learn a lesson. "Let's teach her a lesson," Derek suggested, cracking his knuckles. Ethan nodded, his grin widening. "Make sure she never forgets her place." They thought she was weak. They thought she was just a quiet, nerdy girl who wouldn't fight back. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Jasmine took a deep breath, her muscles tightening, ready to explode. She had been training in martial arts since she was 6. Her father, a former Navy SEAL, had taught her everything she needed to know: how to defend herself, how to strike when it mattered. Without warning, Zachary lunged at her. In a split second, Jasmine spun around, grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and elbowed him in the gut. Zachary doubled over in pain. Before Ryan could react, Jasmine spun around again and delivered a swift sidekick to his knee. He collapsed onto the floor with a loud thud. Derek charged at her, but Jasmine was too quick. She ducked, grabbed his shirt, and with one smooth motion, slammed him headfirst into the bathroom stall door. He crumpled to the ground, groaning. Ethan stood frozen, eyes darting from his fallen friends to Jasmine. She stepped toward him, and he immediately turned to flee. But as he reached the door, Jasmine's voice stopped him. "You think you can just run away?" she asked coldly. Ethan didn't need to hear more. He bolted for the door and didn't look back. The sound of footsteps echoed through the empty bathroom as Jasmine stood over the 3 boys who had tormented her for months. Just then, 2 security guards burst through the door, radios crackling in their hands. Principal Thomas Davis, the school's headmaster, pushed his way inside, his face twisted in anger. "What the hell is going on here?" he demanded, his voice booming. Jasmine wiped her hands on her jeans and walked past the groaning boys without a second glance. "This isn't over," she muttered under her breath. In the principal's office, the tension was palpable. Jasmine sat with clenched fists, staring straight ahead. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and expensive cologne. Across from her sat Principal Davis, his face red with fury, eyes burning with a mix of disbelief and anger. "Explain yourself, Jasmine," he demanded. Jasmine met his gaze, unflinching. "I defended myself," she said firmly. Zachary groaned from the floor. "She attacked us," he spat. Jasmine scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, really? That's the story you're going with?" Principal Davis's face tightened. He knew Jasmine was telling the truth, but admitting it would mean having to hold his own son accountable, and that was something he was unwilling to do. "You're suspended," he said, his voice cold and final. "Effective immediately." Jasmine's stomach sank. "Suspended? For what? For defending myself?" she asked, her voice rising. "This school has a zero-tolerance policy for violence," Principal Davis stated coldly, looking her in the eye. "No exceptions." Jasmine's fists tightened, her nails digging into her palms. "So let me get this straight. You've ignored months of bullying, allowed them to corner me, and now you're punishing me because I didn't let them hurt me?" Principal Davis sighed, as if this was just another headache he had to deal with. "I don't make the rules, Jasmine." Jasmine stood up, her voice rising with anger. "Number you just bend them for people like your son." Principal Davis's eyes darkened, and his voice became sharp. "Watch your tone." Jasmine grabbed her backpack, slinging it over her shoulder. "Nah, you watch yours," she said, and stormed out of the office. Her heart pounded with fury, but she didn't look back. Jasmine's mother, Monica Turner, was already waiting for her in the front office when she arrived. The worry on her face was unmistakable. "Jasmine, what happened?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Jasmine sighed, rolling her eyes as she dropped her backpack onto the chair. "Zachary and his crew jumped me in the bathroom," she said, frustration lacing her voice. "I fought back, and now I'm the one getting punished." Monica's expression darkened as she crossed her arms. "Where's the footage? Did they record it?" The receptionist hesitated, her fingers nervously tapping on the desk. "Principal Davis said the cameras in the hallway weren't working today," she muttered. Monica's eyes narrowed. "Of course they weren't," she muttered under her breath. "Convenient." She was about to turn away when another voice spoke up. "I saw everything." It was Maria Gonzalez, a senior who worked as an office assistant. She stepped forward nervously, looking around before meeting Monica's gaze. "I saw the security footage before they erased it," Maria said quietly. "Jasmine's telling the truth." Jasmine's heart skipped a beat. "You saw it?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Maria nodded and pulled out her phone. "I even recorded it," she said, showing them the video. On the screen, the footage clearly showed Zachary and his friends cornering Jasmine, shoving her around, laughing, and then Jasmine fighting back. Monica's eyes narrowed as she took the phone from Maria's hand. "We're taking this to the school board," she said firmly. "This will not stand." By the next morning, the video had gone viral. Social media exploded. Parents, students, and even local news stations picked up the story. Justice for Jasmine was trending across the internet. The school tried to control the situation, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. Principal Davis was forced to resign, and Zachary and his friends were expelled. Jasmine's suspension was overturned. Jasmine walked back into Crestwood Academy with her head held high. The halls that once felt hostile now seemed different. Students whispered as she passed by. Some looked guilty, others gave her nods of respect. Maria ran up to her, a big smile on her face. "You did it," she said. Jasmine smiled back. "No, we did it," she corrected her. Jasmine wasn't just a scholarship student anymore. She wasn't just the black girl in a predominantly white school. She was a warrior now, and Crestwood Academy would never be the same again. Justice had been served, But Jasmine knew the fight against racism was far from over. If you believe in standing up for what's right, hit that subscribe button and keep the conversation going. As Jasmine walked through the school halls the next day, the atmosphere had completely changed. Whispers of admiration followed her every step. Some students who had once avoided her now smiled at her with a newfound respect. She wasn't just the girl who defended herself. She was the girl who had exposed the ugly truths hidden beneath the school's polished image. As she approached her locker, Jasmine noticed a group of students gathered around. At first, she thought they were just another group of people who wanted to whisper about her. But then, one of them stepped forward. It was Olivia, a girl who had never spoken to Jasmine before. "Jasmine, I just wanted to say thank you," Olivia said quietly. "I've seen how they've treated you, and I never stood up for you. But after what happened, I realized I should have said something. I'm sorry." Jasmine was taken aback. She had never expected Olivia, of all people, to apologize to her. She gave a small smile. "It's okay. It's not just about me. It's about all of us. We all deserve respect." Olivia nodded, her eyes filled with sincerity. "You're right. I'll try harder to make things better from now on." As the days passed, the ripple effect of Jasmine's bravery continued to spread. Students who had once ignored her or even participated in bullying began to change. Conversations in the cafeteria shifted, and the atmosphere in the hallways felt lighter. One afternoon, Jasmine was walking to her next class when she spotted a familiar face in the crowd. It was Eric, a student who had been a part of the group that had harassed her in the past. Jasmine's first instinct was to look away, but instead, Eric caught her eye. Eric stopped in front of her. "Hey, Jasmine," he said, his voice quieter than usual. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for the way I treated you. It was wrong, and I didn't realize how much it hurt you. You're a lot stronger than I thought." Jasmine studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I appreciate that," she said. "But this isn't just about apologizing. It's about changing the way we treat each other every day." Eric looked down, clearly processing her words. "You're right. I'll do better. I promise." Jasmine smiled softly and nodded. "Good. We all need to do better." With that, she turned and walked away, her heart feeling a little lighter. As she walked into her next class, Jasmine felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. She had stood up for herself, but she had also sparked something bigger than herself. She had started a movement that was changing the school, and maybe, just maybe, it was the start of something much larger. Jasmine knew the fight against injustice wasn't over, but for the first time, she felt like she wasn't fighting alone. And that made all the difference. If you believe in standing up for what's right, hit that subscribe button and join the movement. We need more people like Jasmine in the world. The days following the school board's decision were filled with a sense of change that rippled through Crestwood Academy. Jasmine couldn't walk down a hallway without feeling the eyes of students upon her, some with admiration, others with regret. But she knew she had made an impact. Maria, who had supported Jasmine from the beginning, found herself becoming a symbol of courage for others. Students who had once been silent bystanders now found their voices. Olivia, the girl who had apologized, began speaking out against bullying and racism, making sure she stood up for those who didn't have a voice. Jasmine sat in the cafeteria one day when a group of freshmen walked over to her. One of them, a shy girl named Sophie, hesitated before speaking up. "I just wanted to say, thank you for standing up. You made me realize I don't have to stay quiet." Jasmine smiled warmly, her eyes softening. "Sophie, you don't ever have to stay quiet. You have a voice. Don't let anyone take that away from you." The conversation sparked something in Sophie, and before long, she became one of the strongest voices in the fight against injustice in the school. Jasmine had set something into motion that was bigger than herself. It was a movement that wasn't just about fighting back, but about empowering others to find their strength. But even as the school began to heal and change, Jasmine knew there was still more work to be done. The fight for justice wasn't something that would end with one victory. It was an ongoing process, and she was ready for the next challenge. One afternoon, Jasmine received a message from Maria. It was an invitation to speak at a community event. "This is your chance to share your story," Maria wrote. "We need people like you to show others how to fight back and make change happen." Jasmine was hesitant at first. Public speaking wasn't something she had ever considered before. But she knew this was an important opportunity. Her story could inspire others to find their own voice, just like she had. When the day of the event came, Jasmine stood at the podium, the crowd before her waiting in silence. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest, but she knew this was her moment. "I'm Jasmine Turner," she began, her voice clear but steady. "And I'm here to tell you that no matter who you are or where you come from, you deserve to be treated with respect. We all have the power to change things, but it starts with us. It starts with standing up for what's right." The room was quiet as she spoke, and when she finished, the crowd erupted into applause. Jasmine realized as she stood there that this was just the beginning. The movement she had started was growing, and she was proud to be a part of it. The fight for justice was far from over, but Jasmine knew that as long as people like her kept standing up, change would come. And she was determined to keep fighting, no matter what. If you believe in fighting for what's right and standing up against injustice, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep this movement going and spread the message that everyone deserves respect. The news of Jasmine's speech quickly spread, and soon the entire city was talking about it. Social media buzzed with posts supporting her and the movement she had sparked. Justice for Jasmine trended for weeks, and her story became a beacon of hope for many. Jasmine had become more than just a student at Crestwood Academy. She had become a symbol of courage, strength, and resilience. Her bravery had sparked a larger conversation about racism, bullying, and the importance of standing up for what's right. One day, Jasmine received an invitation to speak at a national conference on bullying and racial equality. The organizers had heard about her story and wanted her to share her experience with a wider audience. Jasmine was honored, but she also knew this was another big step in her journey. "I'm proud of you," Maria said when Jasmine told her the news. "You're going to change even more lives with this." Jasmine smiled, but she knew it wasn't just her. It was all of them. Everyone who had stood by her, everyone who had supported the movement. They were all part of something bigger. On the day of the conference, Jasmine stood in front of a packed auditorium, a sea of faces looking up at her. She felt a surge of nerves, but also a deep sense of purpose. She was ready. "Hello, everyone," Jasmine began, her voice steady and clear. "My name is Jasmine Turner, and I'm here to talk about something that's very personal to me. It's about bullying, racism, and the importance of standing up for yourself and for others." The audience listened intently as Jasmine shared her story. She talked about the pain she had endured, the strength she had found within herself, and the power of community and solidarity. "It's not easy to speak up," she said, "but I've learned that if you don't speak up, if you don't stand up for what's right, then you're letting injustice win, and I refuse to let that happen." The audience erupted in applause, Jasmine felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This was why she had fought. Not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever felt silenced. For everyone who had ever been made to feel less than they were. As the event came to a close, the organizers presented Jasmine with an award for bravery and activism. It wasn't about the award. It was about the message she had shared, the difference she had made, and the lives she had touched. This is just the beginning, Jasmine thought to herself as she walked off the stage. She knew that the work was far from over. But as she looked out over the crowd, she saw the faces of people who were ready to keep fighting, just like her. The fight for justice wasn't just about one person standing up. It was about a movement, a collective effort to bring about change. And Jasmine was proud to be a part of it. If you believe in fighting for what's right, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The battle is ongoing, and together we can make sure that justice prevails.